So this is not just only about protecting organizations from risk, it's about national security, economic security, and public safety.
Grant Geyer is the Chief Strategy Officer at Claroty, joining us here at RSAC in San Francisco, California. It's really great to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So let's start first and foremost. What brings you and the team for Claroty here to RSAC this year, and what are you most looking forward to here in San Francisco?
So much of the world's focus in cybersecurity has been around the area of IT security. What's been often overlooked is this new area referred to as cyber physical system security. And you have to think about in an industrial enterprise, the manufacturing production line, or the power grids, or what keeps our water clean, even connected medical devices. So this is an area where, with one leg in the physical world and one leg in the digital world, now a cyber criminal or a nation state sponsored actor can cause damage in the physical world from a cyber attack. And we're looking to put a spotlight on it here at RSA.
What are some of the emerging overall trends or maybe even threats in the world of cybersecurity that you've seen over the course of your career?
You know, it's scary in that a lot of nation states, their objectives haven't changed, but now with cyber physical systems as a potential target, they can accomplish their goals through other means. So think about in 2020 and 2021, Russia actually was able to shut down the power in Ukraine through cyber attacks. China has embedded malware into the naval base in Guam. So this is not just only about protecting organizations from risk, it's about national security, economic security, and public safety.
What should the average person out there who might only have a pretty loose familiarity with the threats of cybersecurity know about the vulnerabilities in some of our biggest either government entities or institutions writ large?
Well, one of the concerns that I think people aren't aware of is this concept of cascading failures, meaning if you want to provide the ability to provide patient services from a hospital, the hospital doesn't just need to be running, you need clean drinking water to sterilize equipment. You need power to keep the elevators and escalators running, and so people can get to surgery. You need an emergency medical system so that people can get to hospitals, and you need a vaccine supply chain. And so much of our focus is not just on protecting organizations, but helping inform policymakers regarding the risks so that we can have a robust and resilient system of providing a secure supply chain and secure services for the US population.
Grant, earlier today, at least the day that you and I are recording this conversation, this huge power outage is a massive story in Europe, impacting places like Spain and Portugal. You and I were talking about before we started the interview, to this point of cascading failure, still a lot that we don't yet know about that particular story, but it does underscore a lot of the challenges in your work at Claroty, is that right?
Well, there's been some early speculation of maybe this is a cyber attack involved. It doesn't appear that way, but what's more important is this concept that you need to have a resilient power grid. Even though it appears to be some physical event that caused this outage, if it were a cyber attack, the same impacts would have been possible. Again, that if the power grid goes out, there's so many services like transportation, airports, train systems that all rely upon a power grid. And so this concept is really present, and the event that happens today, I think, underscores that.
There's no doubt, and this just has been a recurring theme in so many of our interviews here at RSAC, that the bad guys are getting better. What do we need to do to make sure the good guys are even better than the bad guys' advances?
You know, I think about this like by seeing Dr. Strange, in that by going into the area of cyber physical system security, I had to unlearn everything I thought I knew, meaning in IT security, the first thing you do is patch when you have a vulnerability, because there are so many areas that can be addressed simply by patching. In OT security, every time you patch, it could introduce risk to the process or risk to automation of a factory. And so therefore, it's the last thing you need to do in many cases. So what organizations do, it's about securing user to machine, machine to machine, and cloud workload to machine communications. And that's part of what we do at Claroty, is we provide a map, an asset inventory, so organizations can understand which assets need to speak to one another so that we can help them to secure all of their communications and ensure that they can run business effectively and ultimately take advantage of all of the new areas of digital transformation that can give them a competitive advantage.
You referenced your work as a map. I wonder, to what degree does that map need to be redrawn from time to time, given newly emerging threats and new changes in the space?
It's not just new threats, it's also the fact that organizations are now using 5G private mobile networks. Drones are part of how organizations operate, robots. And so I think of this as, if we once thought of this as a 2D map, it's now like a 5D map with all of the different ways and all the different vectors that attackers can now take advantage of and find a way into an enterprise and cause malfeasance.
What is one reality of the world of cybersecurity, or one lesson that you've learned that you wish, Grant, you had learned a little bit sooner?
I think of it as there are so many areas of risk in organizations. The one thing I try to recommend to practitioners is, if they don't know where to get started, to do an assessment of the environment, because that moves the leadership from ignorance to very quickly to a point of negligence. They have to do something about it. They are compelled to do something about it when they recognize that the problem is so pervasive.
Grant Geyer from Claroty, congratulations on all of the success, and really grateful for you sitting down with us here in San Francisco. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.